So, hi everyone. My name's Erin, and I'm the recreational therapist here at CI. Thank you so much for coming and learning more about our McKee Family Parent Caregiving Night. For tonight, we'll be talking about the CI seeds, how to help your child grow at home. So, we'll be talking about how to take some of those goals that you're working on at CI and how to transfer them over to either your home or different places in your community. So thank you so much for joining us, and we can go ahead and get started. If you guys want to introduce yourselves and say your roles and what you do over at CI, that would be great.
I am Heidi, and I am a COTA. And I will talk a lot tonight about our fine motor skills, emotional reg skills, and executive functioning skills, and how you can work on all those skills at home in a fun way.
Yeah, and my name is Luke, and I am part of the physical therapy team. I'm a PTA and also the McKee Clinic Manager. So I will be talking a little bit more about, ways to work on your child's gross motor skills, out and about in the community or at home, and ways to carry those skills over from what they learn at CI.
So I will kick us off with our fine motor skills. Those kind of involve, obviously, our writing is a big one, hand strength, endurance, buttoning, zipping, tying, opening packages, a lot of functional things that we use our hands for every day. A lot of our kids don't always love to come in right away and just do handwriting practice, or they don't like to work on just buttoning all the time or zipping their coats. So there's a lot of different ways that we can encourage those skills in fun ways. So the first place we can kind of chat through those skills are, I believe it's at the park. So different things like doing the rock climbing wall or the monkey bars really works on that grip strength that the kid might need to sustain a pencil grasp or to sustain in coloring. Picking flowers is a really awesome way to encourage your kids to work on that hand strength. Of course, have them pick like the dandelions that are out and about in the park and not someone's flowers next door that they've worked really hard to grow, but a fun way that they can work on that and then give those flowers to someone they care about. Flying a kite is super fun on a windy day, like holding onto the handle. Any dressing skills, obviously you'll need to do, can work on that zipping, that tying, the buttoning, but try to incorporate it in more of a fun way of like, oh, let's have a race, or how fast can you get this done? Because we're gonna have to do it, but trying to put the emphasis on those skills that day and work together. Go have a picnic. You can pack a lunch. You can have them open the bags. You can have them cutting sandwiches, spreading the toppings, zipping the lunch boxes. Even if you have ones that have Velcro on it, you can open and close those. And that's just another great way to kind of encourage that hand strength, that's carryovers to dressing and writing and all sorts of different things. So that's just at the park. There's so many more things that we'll talk about too as we go on. At home, and again, a lot of these activities you can take to the park too. And the ones at the park you can bring back home. Squirt guns or any water toys. Take squirt guns out, put some paint in them, and then you can squirt it at paper and you can make a whole bunch of fun art to hand out to family members, to teachers, to keep at home for whoever. Having those squirt guns really works on those little muscles that we really need to kind of focus on to be able to tie our shoes and to button and things like that. And for writing endurance, make silly drawings on the sidewalk or your driveway with those squirt guns or different water toys. You have the super soakers, you have the little water guns, you have a whole bunch of different things that can incorporate different muscles in your hands. If you go on to do some writing with chalk, erase those with the water toys. Water balloons are always a fun one. I can't go wrong there. You can have fun popping them. You can have fun filling them up. putting the kind of top around the hose, and then even tying them. And that's super tricky, but super fun to kind of work through because you can laugh and kind of have fun with that as everyone gets wet, as the water balloon is no longer a water balloon. Chalk, you can obviously draw, you can write, you can color, you can play different games like Hangman or kind of like Pictionary with chalk. So again, different ways to incorporate that, but obviously in a more fun manner than sitting at the table and just writing spelling words out every day. Clothespins are another one. You can use them as tweezers to play different games. You can clothe them to make it a matching game. If you're hanging up your laundry to dry, that's a great way of engaging so many other activities. Help them with hanging the laundry up and opening and closing them. Another great way to kind of work on, again, multiple goals. You can use sponges. It's a great way to have them help clean around the house. You could have relay races and squeezing the water into a bucket and then go back and refilling it. Play a sponge tag game where you have to like get the water in the sponge wet again and then throw it at a friend. And paint. There's a really cool resource that you could find that has washable puffy paint that you can kind of put in like an old ketchup bottle and then work on squeezing that paint off around the house on the sidewalks. And it comes off with water. So the next time it rains, it comes right off and no need to worry. But the process in and of itself and then being able to use it is such a super fun way to kind of work on those activities and skills. And at home on a rainy day, as much as we love to be outside during the summertime and any time of the year, there's always gonna be days that we're inside. So games like Connect 4, Pop the Pig, Pop Up Pirate, Trouble, even Legos can build a lot of those foundational skills that we need for writing and buttoning and just thinking about the way that our hands are picking up different pieces. Play-Doh is another really fun way to work on those skills. Syringes, like again, filling them up and squirting the water out. You can kind of transfer that water into different containers. Playing with money, you can make a store, have kids like grab a handful of money and like sort through the coins and talk about those coins. So you're not only working on fine motor skills, but you're learning money skills as well and recognizing what those various coins are. Containers, having them help you open and close them. You can help out in the kitchen, have them open up the flour that you may need to be cooking cupcakes with. Anything like that to get them engaged and helping out in a fun way is going to keep them involved and be more enjoyable. Scissors, obviously using scissors to cut anything open. It could be packages, it could be a box. Anything that's really going to work on that hand strength will be great. Obviously, making sure that we have safety in the background of our minds, but that's always a nice, fun way, again, to kind of get them involved. And last but not least, writing. Have them write out a menu. Have them write the grocery list that you may need for the day. Write cards to family members, especially right now. Everyone loves to get mail. So kind of writing out a little note saying, I miss you, how's it going? What's your summer plans? What are you up to? Is a great way to kind of, again, take the pressure off of writing like for schoolwork, but more so like now writing for fun. So kind of now rolling into those executive functioning skills. So those involve a lot, things like following directions, initiation, stopping different things, our flexibility, and again, following multi-step directions. So a lot of our fine motor skills that we just talked about can kind of now like play into these executive functioning skills along with the activities. So a few things that we will chat about. Things at the park are like playing tag. Red light, green light is following directions, working on stopping and going. You can create an obstacle course at the playground. So talking about the first step, the second step, the third step, and the last step. How are you to maneuver through all of that? Playing games like Simon Says or Mr. Fox, what time is it? Mother, may I? Thinking back to all those really fun games that you used to play in the backyard is a great way to kind of work on your skills at home. and your kids won't even know it. Play the lava games. Figure out how to get from one side of the playground to the other without touching the ground. Games like Duck, Duck, Goose. Activities that you can do there is go on a scavenger hunt. Go look for different things. Have them go find it and come back with it. Give verbal directions for locations they have to go in order, such as like go touch a slide, then go up the rock wall, spin in a circle on the bridge and come back. All of these activities are taking those skills that we need to do like our daily routines, but working on them in a fun way, such as like the last one, giving verbal directions. You think about when you're getting ready in the morning, you have to get dressed, you have to brush your teeth, you have to do all sorts of things to get ready for the day. This is a way that you can work on those skills, but just taking the focus off of that skill of getting dressed, getting ready in the morning, and so forth. So still the planning, still all the different things that you need in between, but again, really stressing it in a fun way. At home, again, like taking the pressure off of different things, like making meals. Have them plan the meal, have them prep, and then prepare. So things like breakfast, lunch, smoothies, ice cream in a bag. Have them pick out a meal that they want to make that day. Have them look for the ingredients, then have them start making it, and then have them actually make the meal. That will be something that's so fun for them to do, and then family can enjoy as well. And they're super proud of themselves, and you've just targeted a whole bunch of different skills. Again, kind of jumping back to the last slide, if you're planning, you're prepping, you're cutting, you're opening packages, you're targeting all of your fine motor goals in this one executive functioning skill as well. Or you have to write out the list to go to the grocery store and then to get those materials to bring back home. Again, it's a rainy day, maybe you're stuck inside. Give your kids a bunch of materials and have them make a game, get creative. What are the rules? What are the boundaries? How many players? What do you need to do? Have them write it out, have them talk through it, and then play it. It's kind of fun to see what they can create. I know I love watching all the different games that are come up here that are created here at CI. So I know that seeing them at home would be super cool as well. Create an obstacle course. Again, give them materials, either inside or outside, and they can only use those materials to make an obstacle course, and then they can time themselves. Again, you're planning, you're prepping, you're doing the activity, all in a fun way. Various backyard games like tag and kickball and soccer, basketball, baseball, all sorts of those things will all target different goals of like stopping and listening, being flexible, like who's winning, who's losing, how are we handling that? Maybe a sibling or a friend doesn't want to play that game right now. So how are we kind of working through those interactions and those emotions when things always don't go our way? Can we be flexible today and then have our plan tomorrow? These always kind of happen in a natural way. So that's kind of fun to see that all progress as we let them just kind of run with it. Various crafts that you can do or different like tie-dye activities. You can always find really cool prepackaged activities at Michael's or Target that give them either like written instructions and they can follow it, or even like verbal instructions if you kind of hold some pieces back and you tell them step by step out loud. It kind of helps them listen and then follow through. So targeting those listening skills while building on step-by-step activities. And building it for it's always a fun one. Give them verbal directions of how many blankets, how many pillows, where each blanket needs to go, or what's going to happen there is a super cool way to kind of incorporate different goals. At the pool and zoo. So at the zoo, get a map and have your kiddo take you from place to place and have them be the leader. And they have to kind of show you where we're going next and have them plan that day out. So again, where are we going first, second, and third? Have them order lunches or have them order the snacks. What do you all need at the zoo? So before you go, have them figure out, make a list of what are you going to need that day. Are you going to need sunscreen or waters and snacks? Anything else that you may need, maybe it's diapers for siblings or whatever it may be, have them plan it out, have them pack it, And then when you're there, you have it right there, and they have a sense of accomplishment and kind of they're proud of themselves because they did something pretty cool. When they are going to maybe get a snack at the concession stand, get them the money, have them pay for the food, and then get the change back. They're working on those natural skills, building into adulthood that they're going to need of giving money and working on those skills of getting it back. Is it the right change? Things like that, which is kind of a super cool and natural opportunity to work on that. And then kind of same holds true to the pool. Have them create a checklist of all the things that you're going to need. Have them pack the bags. What are you going to need for lunch? Are you going to order lunch or snacks? Again, how much money can you take to the pool with you if you're setting them with a friend? How much money do you think you'll need? What should your change be? Do you want them to bring you money back, depending on their age? So different skills like that kind of teach all of the things in one. So a super fun way to kind of do it and be creative throughout the summertime in all these different places.
Yeah, and now for gross motor skills, when I think about gross motor skills as children develop, right, it's such things as endurance and being able to walk along to the park with you from your house and being able to keep up with the family or their friends, and their strength, their muscle strength, and strength can come in so many different forms. Through play, you can target strength in so many different ways. I think about bilateral coordination with catching and eye-hand coordination. Your kiddo's balance, which is in so many different forms as well. Being able to climb up and down the ladder for the slide at the park, it will take balance and coordination and strength. Their jumping skills, their core strength, coordination, and agility are all some things that that you're able to easily target at home, at the park, at the pool. The great thing about these gross motor skills that we'll talk about in Target is they can be targeted through all of those activities that were just mentioned in the activities of executive functioning. So if I'm thinking about playing the floor's lava game or going on a scavenger hunt or playing red light, green light, instead of playing red light, green light by just walking slowly and then stopping and then walking again or running, right? Maybe it's like you do the entire red light, green light game doing animal walks or something like that. Like everybody has to jump like a frog the entire time while you're playing red light, green light. Or on your scavenger hunt, right? You create a different animal each time. Okay, this time you have to crawl like a bear to find the next clue. All of those skills are working on, that we had mentioned already that Heidi was talking about. Gross motor skills can be involved in all of those things. So we'll chat a little bit about kind of some areas, that we'll talk about, like at the park and stuff here. So yeah, so the first one, right? A lot of this stuff was mentioned, but climbing on play structures. So when I think about going to the park, right, and when I work with some kiddos at CI, is I love making things into a challenge, right? And Heidi even kind of talked about something like that. It's like making and giving them a whole bunch of steps to complete this challenge. Or making it a timed thing. So can your kiddo climb up and down the play structure safely in 10 seconds and grab that ball that was at the top and come back down? Can they do part of the scavenger hunt or tag or any of those activities by running on grass or mulch? By allowing your child to just explore different environments, whether that's on the grass or mulch or on the play structures, that just naturally will help with that strengthening of their core and their balance will improve, their ankle and lower extremity strength improve as they navigate different environments while they're trying to attend to their environment and playing with their peers or whatever. Swinging is always a great skill to work on. That takes a lot of core strength. It takes a lot of coordination. Balancing on ledges and any of the play structures that are at your park, probably, or if you're at a playground. You can have balance challenges. Can you balance on one leg like a flamingo? Can you balance with your feet together and your toes in the air like a penguin would do, or something like that? You can be creative and just make it silly, make it goofy, pretend. I think your child will really flourish when you just do that pretend play and bring in animals when all of these, when you're talking about all of these skills. What child doesn't love acting like an animal, right? I feel like they all like to mimic those animals, like bears and flamingos standing on one leg and penguins and stuff. So a ball can be so versatile. A simple ball is so easy and mobile to bring with you. You can bring small balls or big balls, right? You can work on the kicking. You can work on relay races and running. That's catching, it's throwing, it's baseball, it's basketball. It's making up your own silly little games as well. I know a good one that I like to play with a simple ball. You each have a ball, a tennis ball, a baseball, a basketball, a kickball, and you can play bocce ball. And bocce ball is, you can play literally with anything, right? You find a rock at the park, right? And you toss that rock, and then you each have your own individual ball and see who can get closer to that ball, right? That works on so many different skills as well, with eye-hand coordination, just the strength and being able to grade the strength. Do I have to throw it really, really hard? Do I have to throw it overhand, which takes a lot of coordination? Am I going to throw it underhand? And you can be silly and goofy with those games of, okay, this time we're throwing with both our hands over our head, or I'm going to throw it with my left hand only, or I'm going to hop on one foot first and then I'm going to throw my ball. A lot of these playground games as well were kind of talked about with, they can be executive functioning kind of games as well, but things as leapfrog. Leapfrog takes a lot of leg strength. It works on those animal walks, as you see listed there as well, by jumping over someone like a frog, right? It takes coordination, it takes balance. Foursquare, if you have your ball and you have a good area, right, that takes now eye-hand coordination. It takes teamwork. If you're working together as a team, those relay races works on teamwork. And the cool thing is just making it, these are just some simple ideas, right? And I think what these ideas will just get the ball rolling with just that imaginative, that pretend play, to be able to target all of those skills, whether that is even a fine motor skill or your executive functioning or gross motor so far that we've hit. A lot of these games can target all of those such things, right? I think about relay races. I feel like everybody knows one of the like most famous relay races, I feel like, is like balancing the egg on the spoon and like trying to like run with that as well, right? So now when I'm thinking about a little simple game like that, right, you could just bring plastic spoons to the park and find pebbles, find rocks, find a dandelion, right? As we were talking about picking those dandelions for fine motor skills, balancing on the spoon. And now we're doing a relay race, which takes a lot of balance, a lot of control, a lot of coordination to be able to do those relay races. So these are just some activities to, when you're at the park, like you can do an infinite amount of things as long as we're just kind of creating it into play. Like a simple relay race, you could do relay races for hours and hours and hours at the park. To target all of those skills that your child might be, wanting to grow in a little bit more. So, yeah, at home, kind of as Heidi had mentioned too, like a lot of those things are the same carryover that you can do at the park, right? It just might be a little easier, obviously, to access some of those things since you're at your actual home environment. So bike riding is a great one. Bike riding is so good for many different things. It's good for lower extremity coordination. It is good for like navigational skills. It's good for like safety and like learning like how to stop and go. It is great for balance and core strengthening. It is great for lower extremities, just strengthening. You can see how fast you can go, how slow you can go. You can create, now before you go in your driveway, a little path that the kid has to try to follow and navigate through or around. Hopscotch is one of my favorite activities. You can do so many creative things with that, right? We all think about hopscotch as jumping on 1 foot to 2 feet to 1 foot, 1 foot, 2 feet, and so forth. But hopscotch can be so much more than that if you use your creativity, right, to target those things, right? If you're jumping for a while, you get up to 10 squares that you're jumping with 1 foot or 2 foot, then you add a little twist in there, or you add a little squat in there to jump, or you put a little like obstacle in the way of the hopscotch, so you have to jump over something. So after that hopscotch, then you create a little, almost like the next one, like a little obstacle course. It could be with having to weave in and out of things. Obstacle courses are are an incredible way to target literally all of those things that I talked about in the beginning. Obstacle courses can target that. So we talked about relay races. Everyone loves relay races. Those can be a neighborhood thing, I feel like, for sure. You bring the neighbors over. It's a great outdoor activity to do. You can do it in the backyard or the driveway. Backyard games such as soccer and kickball, or anyone that your child's like to invent, right? Children are so imaginative and they love just creating their own games and rules. Just keep in mind that you can incorporate any of those additional things, right? We think about like those games such as soccer and kickball as they're running, right? They're running activities. So that's going to be great for their just general strength, their cardiovascular fitness, their endurance. Those games, if you want to try to invent a little different way to play, like maybe you play 2 halves of soccer out in the backyard, but right, 1 half you can only hop on 1 leg or something like that for a while. You can create those typical sport games that we all know and love to play in the backyard. You can make those anything you want it to be, really. So games such as like, right, you got to call out something to your team members, and a response game like the Mr. Fox what time is it game, really incorporate a lot of just stop and go movements, like red light green light does as well. Charades is always a great one to play. Charades we have on here, just like sports charades, right? Pretending that you're a baseball player and swinging, right? And having your child go through those physical motions, and then have the whole family guess and have their friends guess and stuff like that. And keeping the balloon off the floor. I think the balloons, obviously, as long as there's no latex allergies, of course, a typical balloon you can get anywhere. You can find those at any store, and balloons can be used. I think of relay races when I think of balloons as well. Trying to walk with it between your legs, or pairing up with a person back to back and squishing it between each other's back and trying to walk with it and wiggle sideways. Keeping it off the floor, right? You can only keep it off the floor. It cannot touch the floor, but you can only use your head 1 time, right? Or you can only use your elbows, right? Or you can only use your left elbow and your right knee to keep it off, right? Or, the easier version that we all like know is just keeping up with your hands, playing volleyball and trying to just keep it off the ground. Counting, can we get up to 50 times keeping it off the ground, right? And I imagine if your kiddo is trying to hit the ball, the balloon, keep it off the floor 50 times in a row, they're likely going to be tired, right? They're going to have that endurance. They're going to work on that coordination. They're going to work on that balance, because they are looking up and around to try to keep that ball off, and they're not looking at navigating their environment. So if you're playing in the grass, right? Grass is a little uneven. It works on their strength and it works on their balance. Ninja courses are awesome, right? That's very similar to like an obstacle course, right? We all know the show Ninja Warrior, so I feel like that's a great play off of like your in-home Ninja Warrior course, right? Where you take every piece of furniture you have in your house and you like throw it all over the place and try to complete this really challenging obstacle, right? Where you have to roll underneath something and then climb over the top of something and balance on something and do something with your eyes closed for a little bit. There's so many different variations of all of those obstacle courses. And again, these are just some ideas of ways that you can keep your kiddo working on some of those skills that they may be working on at CI already. So, your therapy team will definitely be involved in giving some of those tips and tricks. So make sure that you're reaching out to your therapy team as well. But a lot of those gross motor skills, when I think of those, right, gross motor and strength and endurance doesn't mean doing sit-ups necessarily all the time. Doesn't mean just doing squats. It doesn't mean just doing a wall sit, right? Those are all important and those can help build strength. But when I'm thinking about building strength right at the park or at home, I want to be creative and I want to get my kiddo involved in how they can do those activities as well. So turning them into fun games, fun challenges, right? Challenge your child to be able to do something that they can do, right? But you're going to kind of just try to trick them and challenge them to, I don't think you can actually lift 2 couch cushions over your head at one time while walking around the ball that I set up, the obstacle courses. And they will prove you wrong, right? And they will make sure that they do that. And that'll be such a motivating way for them to work on some of those gross motor skills at home or at the park. So.
All right, and now on to the fun one, emotional regulation. So when we think about emotional regulation, we think about emotion identification, various regulation strategies, interoception skills, and using that growth mindset that you probably hear us therapists talking about a lot. So thinking about the park, this is a really awesome place to kind of work on all these skills. So interoception, if you're not really familiar with what that term means, as it's kind of up and coming and a newer word, talks about all of those senses that you're feeling within your body, a very foundational skill that we need to be able to self-regulate. So it's talking about how my hands might be feeling. Are they hot? Are they cold? Are they moving fast? Are they moving slow? We work our way through our hands, our feet, our mouth, our eyes, and we work internally as well. But then they go on to talk about, obviously, interoception then goes on to saying if our hands are moving fast, then we might need to slow down a little bit. We're maybe a little frustrated. So taking that knowledge at the park then is talking about various textures that you're noticing, especially throughout the day. Like in the morning, if you're playing on the ground, is the grass, is it dewy? Is it wet? In the afternoon, is it dry? How does it make your hands and feet feel? Sometimes it make me feel tickly. I don't love grass, but I avoid it at all costs. So that's one of my things I don't like to do, but talking about that and kind of talking to your child about that, what you're feeling, what they're noticing, is super awesome. Again, like how are your hands feeling after the monkey bars? Are they sore? Are they tight? How are they feeling after playing tag? Are they sweaty? And swinging. So what happens to your body when you're swinging? Are you feeling kind of dizzy maybe? Are you excited? Are you out of breath? Maybe if you're playing tag, you're really sweaty. Your hands are sweaty. Your feet are tired. Your body's tired. Your heart's racing. Those are all signals that tell you that, hey, I might need to take a break. So kind of having your child recognize that, then going and taking that break and then playing again and seeing how they're feeling after all that. So a great way to incorporate those skills in a really fun manner without having to like hound in on that. Oh, like you're feeling really frustrated right now. Like we need to take a break. Like, no, incorporate in those fun moments. So when those trickier times do arise, then we're golden. And now with like regulation strategies, like work on taking breaks after playing hard. When our kids get to go to the park, they run hard, they play hard, they do all the things. And like Luke was saying, like everything they're doing at the park or at home, like is challenging their body in some way, which is really awesome. So offering them a water break, bringing snacks, asking them what they want to bring to the park with them. Is it water? Is it a snack? Is it deep breathing? Is it bubbles? I don't know exactly what they're called, but the flowers that have all the little like fuzzies on them, those are really great ones to kind of like, how many can you like blow off of this flower? Like, can I get more? A great way to kind of work on taking a break in a fun way versus like, all right, like we just need to pause for a minute, make it a contest. Who can blow more, mom or me, or dad or me, or my friend or me? Point out different emotions you may be seeing and come up with a solution together. So if you're feeling upset, like what is my idea to maybe kind of calm my body back down? Or what's your idea? If we both can't figure one out, like what can we do together to solve that current problem? Instead of having a really big reaction, we solve it together. Because most times if we're playing at the playground and something happens, we may have a big reaction and that's okay. So let's try to still have fun and create that solution together so that we can kind of make it easier and then return to the fun. Using that growth mindset is a really, really important thing to do, especially at the park. Again, things are going to be challenging. Monkey bars might be hard. Climbing up the rock walls might be challenging, or on the spider net, or even just walking up and down the playset, or on the mulch, or different texture, different, just like the ground textures can be tricky. So, hey, it's okay. I can do it. I will try my best. If it's hard, I can still try. If I don't do it this time, I'll learn from my mistakes, or what can I change next time to maybe make it a little bit easier. Even if I may not do it right, I'm still learning something. So really kind of like making sure our kids recognize like we all make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, and that's how we learn and we get better. So the park is a really fun way to kind of target all of those things in a non-stressful manner. and at home. Again, I'm sure a lot of our therapists are giving you really great ideas to kind of work towards these. But some of my favorite things to do in the clinic is playing charades of different emotions. I get to act out a different emotion and then they get to guess. And then they get to act out an emotion and I get to guess. A really fun way to do with all the families, all the family members you may have, and everyone gets to take a turn. Just fun, a fun way to kind of spend maybe even a rainy afternoon. Again, kind of back to that water balloon idea is drawing. So now we're going to connect emotions, fine motor, planning and prepping and all the things into this one activity. You can get the water balloons before you fill them up, draw different faces on them, and then you can play a balloon toss game, or you can run and grab one, and then if they get the right one, you can smash it or do whatever you please with it. You can throw it, whatever, just a kind of a recognition activity. Or you're sitting and watching a TV show. Oh man, that character looks like he's feeling really frustrated right now. Like, wonder what he's gonna do. And naturally talking about it and just talking out loud of what you're seeing, again, takes that stress off of like, oh, I need to have the right answer. I need to know what they're doing, how they're feeling, how they're gonna solve their problem. But by your child listening to you talk through that, they're learning in a way of like, oh, I hear mom, I hear dad, I hear grandma, I hear teacher, I hear babysitter, thinking out loud. And then they're kind of absorbing that in. So regulation at home, co-regulate, like that is so important. Your kids are watching you, big or small problem, like your reaction is what they will follow. So try to over exaggerate your regulation strategy. Like if you're feeling really overwhelmed, like make it a big deal to like, how are you calming yourself down? Talk through the problem out loud. Hey, like I'm really frustrated now that we're stuck in traffic. I can't control it. So I'm going to take some deep breaths or turn the music up. Telling them what you're doing may help them in the future too, or even recognize their own like strategies that they may like. If you like to listen to music and they're in the car with you, that might be something that they end up liking as well, because they're picking up on what they're learning. Another fun thing to do on a rainy day is hide a card with different regulation strategies around the house. And every time they pass one, they have to stop and do that activity. Again, like working on these tools, like not in the moment, but like in a time where we are calm, so that when we maybe kind of give those keywords of like, let's take a break, what can you do? They kind of know what to do at that time versus like trying to like think of all the things in that one moment when they're feeling frustrated. So a really fun way to kind of work on that again, low stress activity. At the pool, again, we go back to interoception skill is how's your body feeling before you get in the pool and after? Is it wet? Is it dry? You may feel different things jumping off a diving board or going in the pool and swimming. Are you tired? Are you swimming laps? Are you doing lots of jumping and just playing around? Going down the slide, like if you open your eyes underwater, it may feel different if you don't have goggles on. So what does that feel like? Again, if you don't have goggles on, what can I do? Maybe if we wear goggles, our eyes won't burn maybe. And different regulation strategies there is blowing bubbles underwater. Swimming or treading water would be a great thing to do. And again, always like implementing that like growth mindset. And just emotional identification, like, ooh, I'm going to try jumping out the high dive today. I'm feeling a little nervous, or I'm going to try going up the slide and going down or going up and down the slide, or the water structures that they have. I may feel nervous to go down a little slide, or it's okay to feel scared, and kind of talking through that and how those activities make us feel during those moments, and kind of again, walking through it, talking through it, and like encouraging that growth mindset as well.
Okay, there we go. Got it unmuted. So now we're going to talk about some programs and organizations that are in and around Madison. So the first one that I want to talk about is the Madison Children's Museum. And this is a great resource for places around Madison because it's super inclusive and accessible to all different kinds of families. So this museum in Madison has an art studio, so you're able to work on some of those fine motor skills. There's an outdoor garden, so you can maybe look at all the different plants and vegetables that they have there and say, hey, like what meals can we make from these plants and vegetables and fruit that they have here? And then there's also a great tinkering lab, and there they're able to kind of make and create some things like robots or inventions that they come up with their own mind. So it's a really cool and interactive place to be able to bring your kiddos. They're also super sensory inclusive. So if you have a kiddo that needs to have a cool down space, and they have a little room for that. They also have sensory tools like headphones that families are able to kind of check out and use throughout their time at the museum. They also have wheelchairs that are available for use for anyone who needs some, as well as having some of those inclusive structures like automatic open buttons for doors and elevators, and having their bathrooms and water fountains accessible as well. Gymfinity is a really cool organization here in Madison that is a gymnastics gym, and this gym in particular has classes specifically for kids with special needs who are able to kind of learn about gymnastics, use those physical, big gross motor movements to kind of get their body moving, but then also making new friends and having some of those goals surrounding social skills be able to put to use in those gym classes. So a really cool opportunity for some of those kiddos who might be excited about gymnastics. And with Gymfinity, they have classes that are like one class is from 3 to 6 years of age, and then one class is from 6 to 21. So the age group is kind of good for that separation of if you have a younger kid or if you have an older kiddo who wants to take a gymnastics class. Mad City Badgers is a wheelchair basketball league, which is pretty awesome. They go around and they have basketball games and go to tournaments, and you're able to kind of learn the game of basketball. So working on some of those physical like gross motor goals. So passing the ball to other people, going faster in your wheelchair, but then also you're developing some of those social skills that go along with being on a team, playing a game. So having that teamwork lifelong goal or lifelong skill being worked on. Kind of winning and losing. That's something that always comes up during games. So being able to, celebrate the wins, but also know that it's okay. And sometimes we lose, and that's just something that happens, but hey, there's always next time. So, and then also what's awesome about Mad City Badges is you're able to create those lifelong friendships when you're on your team and kind of getting to know each other as an active participant, but then also as a teammate. And with Mad City Badgers, they like to equally distribute the players that are on the team. So it's based on a point system to make sure that everyone has an active role in the team that they're on. Miracle League of Dane County is also another organization that surrounds baseball. And what's really cool about the Miracle League of Dane County is that their baseball field is made out of turf, which makes it easier for some of those kiddos who either are using walkers or wheelchairs. They're able to get around on that field as opposed to your typical baseball field that might be made of sand, which is a little bit more difficult to maybe navigate when you're playing baseball. There's also buddy systems that kind of help with throwing and catching and hitting and running. So it's a really cool way to make some new friendships and be able to use some of those social skills as well. And I just think it's a really cool organization that Dane County has. The Fitchburg Parks and Rec is also offering a lot of different summer camps for the summer. So there's a whole wide variety of different camps that kiddos can register for. And there are some of those camps include archery, t-ball, there's a science camp, there's a flag football, arts and crafts, different like there was one called the rainforest camp. So you're going and learning about rainforest, which is really cool. Those are also COVID. They follow COVID protocols. So I think the max that are allowed to be in that summer camp are about 6 or 4 to 6, depending on that. And what's really cool for the Fitchburg Parks and Rec is that I'm going to be hosting or the camp counselor of 2 of them. So one being the Crafty Kids Camp, where each week we're going to be doing a different themed arts and crafts. And then also the Game Makers Club, which is a different theme for each week. And we'll be making games and creating games and having some of those games to take home with you at the end. So super excited about that. So it's a great way to get your kid involved in something that either they've already tried and they like to do, or maybe some activity that they haven't done before. So those camps also run about 11 weeks. So you're able to be with the same kiddos for around 11 weeks and create some of those friendships that way too, which is pretty cool. And then also 3 Gates Therapeutic Riding Center. They're currently not open, but they're planning on opening in early June. So that's something to look forward to. And this is a place that offers therapy with horses, which I am a huge animal lover. So I think it's really awesome that they're using horses as a way of therapy. They have 2 different programs that they offer at 3 Gates, and one of them is actual riding of horses. So you're learning about the horse, you're learning to ride the horse. There's competitions that you can also attend if you want to. So you're really learning about how to communicate with some of those horses, which is great because I know, at least from past experience, I've worked with some horses too, and I know that they can sometimes be a little stubborn. So it can teach you patience and communication. So it's a really great way for some of those kiddos to work on some of their goals that they've been working on in CI, but kind of transferring them into a completely different environment, which is really cool because I think a lot of the goals that we do work on in CI are able to be transferable to other therapies and other activities. And then also they offer unmounted horsemanship activities, which is maybe if your kiddo isn't quite ready to start riding a horse. This is mainly focusing on the like care of horses, how to make sure that they're properly handled and groomed, some more education on the actual horse itself, and kind of how to safely take care of that horse. So I think that's a really awesome opportunity that some kids might have in the Madison area. And it's something that's just a little bit different than your typical everyday therapy, which is pretty cool. And then there's also the Tools to Grow Summer Weekly Plans resource that we have, and it goes over the different daily activities that you can work on. So like fine motor, gross motor, sensory, visual motor, and handwriting. And if you are interested in that, you can reach out to your therapist to see how we can incorporate that with your child's goals. So it's a really great way to get everyone in the family involved because in summer, I think we have a little bit extra time since we're not all in school. So it's a really great way to be able to get everyone at home involved in while working also simultaneously on some of the things that your kid is working on at CI. And that is about it for today. Thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope that you all have found something exciting and maybe some resources that you'd like to try in the Madison area for this summer. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me at eringlick@citherapies.com. And thank you all for listening.